Well, Joe Biden has won the presidency, the biggest prize, but progressive and moderate Democrats are trading blame over the party's stunning losses in the House. Rather surprising, they weren't actually stunning. That said, Democrats holding a smaller than expected majority now. Joining me now, Michael Moore, Oscar-winning filmmaker and host of the podcast Rumble with Michael Moore, and a good friend to us here. It's good to have you back, Michael. I want to get into
Thank you for having me, Alex.
Of course. I want to get into the internal Dem disagreement in just a second. But before that, I want to get your thoughts on that big prize, a president-elect Joe Biden, because I know you, Michael, worked pretty hard to hear those words. How do you think it all came together?
Well, I was thrilled to hear those words, and I was encouraging everybody for months, as I was very involved in trying to get the vote out, because I took Donald Trump seriously, and I knew that he would do better than he did last time, and he did. So that meant we all had to do that much more better. So we had to get those. Right now, I think the count is Biden has gotten 11 million more votes than Hillary did 4 years ago. We never would have beaten Trump had we not gotten out the vote. And where did the vote come from? Record numbers of black voters, record numbers of young adult voters coming out to vote. And it happened. This has been forgotten somehow. That we've had the largest, most historic uprising of people, a movement that formed this year around trying to do a different way of policing. And that brought so many people out into the streets. So many people got registered who hadn't been registered before. And I think that this had so much to do with it. Thank God for black and youth and progressive voters that put Biden over the top and beat back an insurgent, Donald Trump, who almost pulled it off, but didn't. And that's the key thing. How did he not pull it off? I think it's because the ballot measures. Again, we're not talking enough about this. The vast numbers of Americans in many states went to the polls and voted for the progressive ballot initiatives and passed them, whether it was legalize marijuana, whether it was double the minimum wage to $15 an hour in Florida. How about Arizona? That's not a very socialist state, and yet they voted to raise the taxes of the rich. In Arizona and Colorado, what did they do 2 weeks ago? They voted to give Coloradans 12 weeks paid family leave. Socialism. The people are ahead of the politicians. The politicians grumbling and whining about, especially the ones that won. I don't understand. I love Tim there from Youngstown and Congresswoman Spanberger. But they won. They won. Don't be a sore winner. Be happy. Yes, it's a struggle. It's a fight. It will continue to be a fight.
Are you, I know we talked before, I want to get more into the details here, but I know that we talked a lot about the poll numbers. Are you surprised that the polls were wrong, that the election was closer in terms of the popular vote than we had expected necessarily?
No, that's why on your show and others leading up to the election, I was trying to tell everybody, don't trust these polls. Like last time, it could be much closer than what. Remember that ABC Washington Post poll the weekend before the election? Wisconsin, Biden was ahead by 12 points.
Yes, I do.
I mean, there has to be a reckoning when all the dust settles here about polling in this country. Because I was so worried that people were listening to that and just going, oh, maybe I don't need to vote.
Remember there was that other one, too, about Iowa, that Donald Trump was ahead by like 7 points. I mean, there were a bunch of polls that were, frankly, head-scratching. But look, actually, you know what, though? I think actually the Iowa one, it was surprisingly right. There was one that was right. I think the Des Moines Register was right, and then all the rest of them had it different. So, I mean, the polling in this country, to your point, definitely is having a reckoning and has to fix this thing up. Let me ask you, though, about the differences with the moderates versus progressives in the Democratic Party. You have moderates saying the issues like socialism, like defund the police, that is what's to blame for the losses. But then, of course, you have progressives, New York Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, defending support for those initiatives. I mean, she points to, as you're pointing out, she won her race decisively. Tim Ryan did as well, that you were talking about. What are your thoughts on this, though, and how Joe Biden can get everyone on the same page in the party, or at least to a functioning level? You're not necessarily going to corral everyone into like-minded thinking, but to get it working properly.
I actually believe that, what you just said. I believe he has the ability to do that and will do it. I think he's going to operate from his heart. And I think that he, as I wrote an open letter to him this week, and I posted it on my Facebook, and I read it on my podcast because I want him to hear this, that I actually believe strongly in where his heart is at and what he believes in now. I think we have an excellent chance to make things work. And I think that he will, when he extends his hand to the other side, it's not going to be to compromise and give up things that we value. It's to say to them, look, we're going to get everybody covered with health insurance. And that means we're going to cover you too, not just our people, not the Trump way where we're just going to do what's for us, what's for me. What we believe is that you shouldn't be working for $7.25 an hour. We believe that the women in your family should have the same rights as the men in your family. This is all going to benefit you when we pass these things. So come on board with us. We'll have our differences. That's okay. But we've got to get rid of this virus. And President Biden, when he's president officially, he is going to, I hope, lead us and speak to the other side, because we will not get rid of this virus if those 72 million who voted for Donald Trump refuse to wear a mask. And when he holds his hand out, it's not going to be about reaching across the aisle. It's going to be about, here, put this on. I want to save your life. I would love it if he would go on TV like a fireside chat one night and just speak to the red states, speak to the people who voted for Trump, and just say to them, I want you to live. You're my fellow Americans. I don't want you to die. You need to live so we can have the great debate on these issues. You are not to die. You must wear this mask. You must socially distance. You must trust that I am going to fight and work for a vaccine, not for political reasons, but an actual thing based on science that's going to be safe for you to take.
Yeah, and that's what he's put together with this COVID task force. It's scientists, it's a diverse group.
Yes.
We know that he's moving in that direction. And, listen, I would love to see a fireside type chat just like that. I think the problem is the indoctrination that's already been allowed to foment and take hold among those 72 million potential Trump supporters. I mean, how do you even break into that?
It'll be hard. But again, I think when we don't send their sons and daughters off to war and have them come back as amputees, he'll see, the other side will see that this is a president who is going to want peace and not war. He's going to do things that are going to benefit them. It'll take a while. Once they have their government-backed health insurance and not have to worry about going to the emergency room, they are going to feel better. And you know who else is going to feel better? The youth of the red states, because as long as we fund our schools, have great schools for all Americans, have great libraries in every neighborhood open 7 days a week. If we do that, the young who are growing up in these homes that are maybe more, thinking this way, homes that don't believe in science, teach the kids science. When they grow up, as they become adults, enough of them will realize, oh yeah, it's the same. It's the same. It's how we've always made how did we get people to stop smoking? I mean, eventually people feel, man, maybe it's not cool that I'm smoking. And I think that enough people who voted for Trump will begin to see, it's really not cool. It's not. I'm not a good neighbor. I'm not a good American if it's all about me, and if I'm not trusting science, and if my kids aren't reading books, we will collectively as a society reach out and try to create a situation where there will be these changes. Things will get better because they do. I mean, look at this. That as Alexandria said, Cortez, that none of the people who were in favor of Medicare for all, Congress people who had the progressive position, none of them lost. The people who lost, the Democrats who lost, are the ones who were against Medicare for all. They're behind where the people are at. The people want universal health care. I don't care what you call it. If I had a chance to talk to Biden, I would say, yeah, no, I don't like that. Medicare for all. Don't call it that. Call it Canadian care. Call it Biden care. Call it whatever. Just make sure when people get sick, they don't have to worry about losing their home.
Yeah. Yeah.
They don't have to worry about any of that. Just you're going to be helped because your fellow Americans are paying for this so that all of us can get help if we need it.
Yeah.
That's the country I want to live in.
That's right. It is a right every citizen should have. Let me ask you, Michael, about the Million MAGA March that was out there, that big rally yesterday in D.C. in support of the president's election challenges. We're showing right there. I mean, it turned violent. How in the world do you bring those people around? I mean, do you at all see their point of view when they say, hey, we like Donald Trump because he talks plainly, he doesn't talk above our heads, he talks to us and we can relate to him, and that's what they're going to miss?
Yeah, they're going to miss it in the same way that on our side, women are still missing being paid what men are paid doing the same job. We've been missing that for hundreds of years. African Americans have been missing the fact that they can vote without their vote being suppressed or gerrymandered. There's a lot of stuff we've had to miss, and we have fought for. We've organized now for the 8th time in the last 9 presidential elections. 8th time out of 9, the majority of our fellow Americans said they want a Democrat in the White House, not a Republican. The Republicans have only won once since 1988 when H.W. won. Since then, the American people only once have given the popular vote, and that was to W in 2004, and that was only by one state, Ohio, 100,000 votes. We live in a liberal country. We live in a country where people don't call themselves liberals, but they agree that we should have a living wage, that women should have equal rights, that look at Florida in 2018 passing a law giving felons the right to vote. Go down every state in the last 2 or 3 elections that has had on the ballot, let's expand Medicaid for all. Every time it's won, it wins. These liberal progressive things win with the people because the people are already there. And the politicians, including some Democrats, don't get that yet. And they should stop complaining about this great victory we've had. And the few that we lost were some Democrats that just tried to win by being Republican light. That doesn't work. We win when we lean to the left as Democrats. We lose when we try to pretend to be Republicans. Because why would people, when they've got actual Republicans on the ballot, why would they vote for people want leather, not pleather. They want a filet mignon and prime rib. They don't want hamburger. Democrats, don't be proud of who you are. Fight for the things we're fighting for. And remember, we're fighting so that every person in every red state has the same exact things. That's what we stand for. And I think in the end, we'll win enough of them over. And frankly, the Million MAGA March, first of all, it's rare that you see.
It wasn't a billion,
No, it wasn't a million. But I love that they use a Louis Farrakhan reference, the old Million Man March, for themselves. I don't know how to quite deal with that, but they're Americans. They live in a democracy. They should be out in the streets. They should stand up and hold placards and vote for the people they want to vote for. That's the American way.
Well, listen.
And if Democrats don't get it together and fight and get those 2 Senate seats in Georgia, we will have a tough time in 2022 and 2024.
That is something that we are going to be talking about and following closely until that election, the special election, the runoff there on January 5th. Michael Moore, I really like our conversations. I can't wait to welcome you back again.
I do too. Thank you.
Pretty fun.
You're so kind to have me on. I really appreciate it.
No, I think you augment the conversation. So thank you. And by the way, that Million Man March, I just want to give the stats there. It was estimated to be like 50,000. So there's the facts on that one. Okay, Michael Moore, thank you. Have a good one. See ya. Rudy Giuliani says he has witnesses to prove election shenanigans in Michigan. Well, the state's attorney general responds to Giuliani's latest allegations next.